Greetings and salutations. Quick shout out to the two Uber comrades on Patreon supporting my channel, my partner Rustin, Independent Left News. Definitely check out Independent Left News. So I came across this article as I was scrolling through Twitter last night, and it had to do with people's views in Russia if they wanted to return to, a USSR style system, a socialist style system, or keep the more Western style democracy that they have now. And I'm not, frankly, very surprised by the poll, but I think a lot of people who are drunk on capitalist brainwashing and propaganda in the West might be a little bit surprised, but a plurality of the people, and by a pretty large margin, want to return to a socialist style system in Russia, which again makes complete sense for me, because especially if they had experienced living in the USSR under a socialist system where the material well-being of the masses of the working class was looked after, as opposed to a capitalist system now where profit motive reigns supreme. There's no centrally planned economy either to look out again for the well-being of the people, as opposed to just being driven by the profit motive. So especially people who had lived under that social system in the USSR prior to 91, it makes complete sense that they would want to go back to that system that's actually looking after for the well-being of the people, as opposed to a capitalist system where it's everybody for themselves. There's just individualistic competition and everybody else be damned. So I think that makes complete sense. So here we'll check out the article real quick, but that's more or less the gist of it, what I showed. But again, not surprising at all. Russians want return of Soviet rule. And again, if you had lived under a socialist system where you had all of these great services and benefits available, like universal health care, universal education, paid vacation, socialized housing, etc. And all of those social safety nets were completely torn away or privatized or reduced once capitalism and neoliberalism, I should say, capitalist neoliberalism came to Russia. Makes complete sense that people would want a return to that, because their material conditions were substantially better under a socialist system, right? So it's not surprising to me at all if you actually look at why people would want a return to that after having been living under this capitalist system since 91. 49% of Russians would like a return to Soviet government of the type Russia had until 91, whereas only 16. So look at that. 3 times more people would like a return to USSR Soviet-style socialist government than to keep the Western-style democracy that they have now. Pretty striking. Look at that. And so this is they've been doing this poll since 96, the highest ever level of support registered for Soviet-style government. Meanwhile, support for Western-style democracy is way down from its peak in the late 90s. Because again, once you actually live in a capitalist system for long enough, you become aware of all of the failings and shortcomings of it, juxtaposed, contradicted to a socialist system that a lot of these people, again, born before 91, had experienced in their lifetimes. Let's see. Support for the free market is at historic lows, way down from 48%. Of course it is. Again, if you've lived in this capitalist, crappy shithole system for a couple of decades, the opinions are going to be going down. just like opinions of socialism in the US are on the uptick, especially among young people, and opinions of capitalism are, going into the dumpster as they should be. That's important as the contradictions that capitalism creates, whether it is in Russia or the United States, become clearer and clearer and more contrast. The poverty amidst plenty. We have a little small capitalist elite at the top doing very, very well in the US and abroad, while everybody else is fighting for the scraps at best. Um, pretty, pretty interesting from my perspective. Um, is this story surprising at all to you? It's not. Again, it's not surprising at all to me. I think it makes perfect 100% sense to me. But again, I think if you're a defender of capitalism and the free market, it might be a little bit shocking. But again, if you actually look at what happens to people when they live under a capitalist system as opposed to how their needs are being met, planned for, and taken care of under a socialist system, this poll makes complete sense. Let me know down below. Like the video if you like the damn video. Subscribe for more content. All part of the people. Peace. Much love.